I'm going to be leaving tomorrow, so it's going to be a very short stay. I also have a very special present from him, actually two presents.
Bună ziua!
Bună ziua! Bine ați venit!
He published this journal, this diary that she wrote. It's fascinating to meet people that had a similar vision, that had a similar desire that I had.
Că ai venit aici și că ai făcut o așa de frumoasă prezentare.
I will be going to Bucharest, then I will be flying to Vienna the next day. Hello my dears, some of you already know this is my room in my mother's house in Câmpul Mușcel, Romania. I arrived here a couple of days ago. I'm going to be leaving tomorrow, so it's going to be a very short stay, but I didn't want to miss it because I was invited to a very special event that took place on Saturday. I'm so happy that I've made it because the Romanian national flight company Tarom is not flying anymore to Vienna, to or from Vienna. It was not easy to find a ticket. I like to fly Austrian. It was not a pleasant flight because they are overwhelmed, but I'm here, I've made it. Professor Adrian Săvoiu invited me to the exhibition opening organized by the local museum, by the city museum. The exhibition features his life, his work, his lifelong work. I want to see more because on Saturday the hall, the beautiful marble room was full with family, friends, colleagues, press, the local radio and TV stations. I didn't get a chance to have a closer look at the displays, but today Professor Săvoiu organized and arranged with the secretary and the director that I can come and film and show you some impressions. And I'm going to ask him some questions. I have many questions to ask him. I got to know him in person exactly 1 year ago. I'm so happy that the former teacher of my niece, Mrs. Lorica Invaner, introduced us. I created an episode last year. He's so generous in offering information. I'm very fascinated about this city. Câmpul Mușcel once was the capital of Romania country before the unification. My mother moved here over 20 years ago. We are not from here, from this place, but I love returning here. I love coming back here. A cat is coming. With each visit I discover something new, something that I like, something very inspiring. It's very important for my work that I get to charge my batteries, that I feel inspired, that I meet beautiful, interesting, well-mannered, educated people. So I'm always happy to come here to Câmpul Mușcel. Professor Adrian Săvoiu was born here. Both of his parents were well-respected, well-regarded teachers. He has been studying in Bucharest and he has been teaching for over 40 years in Bucharest, and although he had a very rich professional activity, he always made time to write. He wrote many manuals for high school students, Romanian language manuals. It's a huge volume of work. And he also wrote many books relating this region, Câmpul Mușcel. He likes to uncover, to put a light over forgotten stories, forgotten people, forgotten lives of people that brought a lot of value to Câmpul Mușcel, intellectuals, people of art, culture, stories that are very important to be known. He has been publishing many books, many articles. It's going to be interesting to see what's inside this exhibition because as far as I know he couldn't bring everything there, although the room is big, but he has been extraordinarily active in his field. He offered me 2 books on Saturday that both signed and I'm going to show them to you. I also have a very special present from him, actually 2 presents, 2 gifts. I'm going to show them to you closely, but first I will be finishing my makeup and then I will be showing you what's hanging there. Makeup is done. It only took 5 minutes. And here I have some earrings from my collection. I think I will be wearing those today. It's silver and rosen quartz. Do you see the moon shape? In this bag I have the 2 books that Professor Săvoiu offered them to me. That's the 2nd volume of a book that he published 2 years ago. I've been reading it last year, soon after I received it from him. Here it is signed, and it's called Beyond the Iron Curtain. It is an autobiography. If you didn't read the 1st volume, actually in this volume you get all the chapters, so it is an enriched book, an enriched volume, because he realized that he left out some chapters, some stories, some happenings of his life. The first book had a huge success. He told me that he's meeting people on the street, people that he doesn't personally know, to tell him that they have been reading the book, and he decided to publish this one. I so much look forward. I'm going to select the chapters that I didn't read in the first one. And here there is another book, beautiful cover as well. It is named Letters from Câmpul Lung, Scrisori din Câmpul Lung. It is a beautiful book. He told me it's very, very interesting, very easy to read, because you can skip different chapters one time. For example, you can go to a story, you can go to a letter today, and next time you can go to another letter. They are not connected to each other. Yeah, a beautiful gift. And now I'm going to show you what else Professor Adrian Svoiu offered me. Here is the outfit that I've been wearing at the exhibition opening on Saturday. The Romanian blouse that was made here in Câmpul Mușcel was offered to me last year by Professor Săvoiu. He has been visiting Vienna and he brought me this blouse. I didn't have one before. He was very surprised. I chose the color. Some blouses are made also with red thread or red and black, but yeah, I chose black. The symbols are very, very traditional for the region. This skirt is made by me, and here that's an underskirt also made by me, and here there is a dress that belonged to the professor's mother. The dress is over 50 years old. I adjusted it just a little bit. I extended the hemline, so the dress is by 6 centimeters longer. I've made some loops for the belt. I've added a button. I found a pretty similar one, you see? That's the button that I've added, and also removable shoulder pads. When I'm going to wash the dress again, I'm going to remove them. It is an honor to own this dress, and today is the perfect occasion to wearing it for the first time. I'm going to privately visit a museum. I will be putting it on now, and we will see each other at the museum. Bună ziua!
Bună ziua! Bine ați venit!
Mulțumim pentru invitație. I just arrived. Professor Adrian Săvoiu was already here. He welcomed us. Here at the entrance there is an area where you can sit down and write some impressions. There is an album, there is a book where you can write your impressions, and I'm going to do that afterwards. We are standing besides the first display, and I'm going to ask now Professor Săvoiu to give us some information. I see here are his parents pictured and a little text, but of course I would like to know more from him. First of all, I forgot to mention, but I'm going to tell you now, the exhibition is titled A Life's Steps. Yeah, it goes along the professor's life. He is starting with those who have given me a name, his parents. His parents are pictured here. And here inside this display, you will be seeing many photographs in original or in a printed form. He has wonderful old albums in his archives. The grandparents from both sides of his parents. In a family photo, it's a gorgeous photo. His grandparent, he was only 13 years old. He lost his life as a soldier in the First World War. He was shot by a German soldier. Here in this corner, you will be seeing the master thesis of the professor's father, and in the middle of the display there is a little book, a booklet about the family's Chronicles with more information and photographs. The professor's mother is so interesting, it's so touching to see that on one side there is the work of his father, and on the right side there is the work of his mother. She wrote a diary about her granddaughter, the professor's daughter. Her name is Laura. And he published this journal, this diary that she wrote. It's very beautiful, and I would like to read it one day. It's very touching, very emotional. Here are his beautiful parents, and as I said, I feel honored wearing his mother's dress today for the first time in this special occasion, in this beautiful space on the premises of the local museum. We can continue to the next display. We are standing now beside the second display. Wow! Journal or diary of a 9-year-old, and I'm going to ask now the professor to give us more information. In this display you will be seeing, I'm melting of pleasure when I'm seeing all these writings as the professor is naming them, starting with 9-year-olds until the age of 37, 38, 37. Here you will be seeing the beginning of his professional path, of his passion, of his career. The first books with the first letters, the first digits, the first numbers, the map of Romania, 9-year-old journal that he composed is about the weather forecast or the weather present on that day. So you will be seeing how the weather was in 1964, for example, on the 11th of March or the 13th of March, continuing until April, until the 4th of April. In the middle, there is a catalog with pressed herbs, pressed flowers. I used to have this in school, a very similar one. We love to press plants and flowers. In the corner, in the left corner, there is a teacher's notes book. So he had perfect, aligned perfect grades, 10 is the maximum note in Romania. On the left side there is his diploma work, his master thesis, and there is a work, it looks like a book. It's a very important exam for any teacher that wants to obtain the highest degree. And that's the first degree. There are 3 different steps, and this is the highest one. He obtained it when he was 37 years old. There are more student or pupil books where the teachers were writing the notes, all kept They look pristine, they look perfect. I cannot believe it. I don't have anything left from my time as a child, but everything is here. Actually, not everything, because he just said it in Romanian, that he has much more, but of course the space here is limited, and he had to curate and he had to decide what to present. Let's go now to the third display and discover it. We are standing now beside the third display. It is a corner, it looks a little bit bigger, and I'm curious to see what's here. In front of me there is your biography, professor's biography. You can read it. It is called School, Profession of Faith. Ne poți spune câteva cuvinte?
Evident că da.
A very rich display as the previous ones. We can see the manuals that Professor Săvoiu published. I would like to create a different material with him to give us more information about what it takes to write a manual. I know just very little. It's an immense volume of work. It is also an honor, I would say, because thousands, hundreds of thousands of pupils are studying it. They have to be perfect. It's not about just studying them, but it's about understanding the content for the pupils, for the professors. It's very important. And here you can see the manuals, you can see some guides, and you can see some supplements. Whoever is in love with Romanian language, because it is about the Romanian language, can purchase, can study from those supplements. And beginning, it's a journey. It's a journey. And the professor was telling us that as a child, while walking on the boulevard, it is a beautiful boulevard here in Câmpul Lung, being together with his parents, everyone meeting his parents was saluting them in a very beautiful manner, with a lot of respect and esteem. He didn't understand at first, as a child, he didn't understand why people are so mesmerized with his parents. They were both professors. And he said that one day he would like to become like them. He would like to become a professor, an esteemed one. It wasn't difficult for him to choose this profession, and he did it with a lot of dedication, passion, and love for 40 years, and I would say over, because he didn't stop his activity. He's continuing his teaching and education works. Very beautiful, and I thank him so much for offering his time today. The fourth display is right opposite there. I'm going to move the camera and let's see what's there. This display is titled Beyond the Iron Curtain. I mentioned the book earlier in the episode, and 1 year ago when I got the first volume, the first book, and I'm going to ask the professor more details about everything what's here, what's inside here. Din coace de cortina de fier, am primit noua carte, noul volum. Este un volum îmbunătățit, pentru că am citit prima carte și ce ne pot spune? Wow! I read the book. I loved it. Many loved it as well, because why? I was born in 1980, and I lived through the communist regime for 9 years. I know how it feels like. I know how a person of color, in my case, feels like. Romania is not there when it comes to discrimination and hard times given to people that look different. But I couldn't believe that someone being born here in Câmpul Muștel, being a real Romanian, if I may say that, although I also feel Romanian, had a hard time in the communist regime. It was not easy for the intellectuals. It was not easy for those that read a lot. I know many stories from my mother, from my grandfather. It was not an easy time because they could discern. They could make the difference from wrong and right. The book is titled, as I said, Beyond the Iron Curtain, because the professor wanted to discover the world behind the curtain that fell on Romania after the Second World War. It was very, very frustrating. And personally, to me, it's fascinating to meet people that had a similar vision, that had a similar desire that I had to escape those times, to see a better, a brighter future, a brighter present for Romania. And yeah, he wrote a lot about those times then, but also about the times after the revolution, how those times looked, what he felt back then. He was very present during the revolution days. It was a surreal time, and I was there as well. I was a child, but I vividly remember that December, the January, and the professor, of course, being older, he could write, he could remember. In 2019, when he published the book, he thought that he said it all, but then being asked, like myself, I've asked him additional information, he realized, yes, I should write another volume. I should write a volume that he's filling in all those answers to the questions that the readers had. Here is the book cover. It's fresh from the printing company. It arrived just a few days ago, and I'm one of the lucky ones, the first lucky ones that received it signed. In the display, there are presented 14 books that the professor wrote and published at different publishing houses. They are all focusing on this region, on Muștel, Câmpul Muștel. For example, the catalog here, it is a beautiful catalog, it's a volume, it's a heavy book that was published with the occasion of celebrating 150 years since the Pedagogic Institute, the school, was established. It was a high volume of work because the professor had to gather many photographs to make it, of course, more interesting, to visualize past times, to also see people of value that were teaching there, but also were attending the school, the college. And there are other books written, for example, the Monastery, Nămăiești Monastery. It is a magical place. He wrote about the monastery. A lot of interviews or stories given by people in past times, 100, 150 years ago, that were visiting foreigners. There were foreigners visiting Romania 150 years ago and writing about what they have seen and met here. There is a lot more to tell you about, but I think I would prefer to make a different episode because everything is so interesting and valuable, and I want to dedicate it more time. High respects. And we will be moving now to the next, to the fifth display to show you more. What's displayed here is just a part. There is much more. There are more books published. I didn't know that because to me it seems so much for someone's lifetime. He was conditioned by the place, so he had to curate what to bring here, what to show here, but there is much more. We are now standing beside the fifth display. It is named
Ca să încerc rotundul lumii. Foarte greu de tradus.
Foarte greu. In Romanian, it is not easy to translate. In Romanian, it is ca să încerc rotundul lumii, to be trying, to be testing the roundness of the world. That's the closest I can tell you. What can you tell us?
Aici avem o vitrină cu marea mea pasiune, călătoriile.
Wow! I love traveling as well. That's a very interesting subject to me, I'm sure to you as well. Everything is fascinating. And some of you know who have been living here in Romania during the communist regime. It was almost impossible to travel abroad. It was a burning wish to many to cross the borders to see what's behind or beyond the Iron Curtain. The professor wanted, at least to Poland, to go to visit. His request was rejected. It was a big disappointment. He was very young, and he continued to live with this burning desire to physically travel. He has been reading a lot about the world behind or beyond the curtain. He wanted to visit France, he wanted to visit Germany, countries in Europe, nearby countries, neighboring countries to Romania, and that was impossible. But with the occasion of the regime falling, starting with 1990, he could get a passport. It is the green one. The green one still has the logo, the signs of the communist regime, Republica Socialistă România, the Socialist Republic of Romania. I remember it very well. And then it continued with the next passports. In 1997, Romania was not part of the European Union. Romania joined in 2007, so 10 years earlier, the professor visited Germany, and he needed a special invitation from someone, a Romanian citizen, for example, or not, but someone living there in Germany, to officially invite him in order to get the visa, to guarantee that he is returning. And here we see the form that he had to fill. Somebody in Germany, Professor Ion Șerban Țicăloiu, invited him, and that was the first occasion that he could visit a foreign country. Atunci a fost prima ieșire din România?
În 1997 la Paris, dar tot pe baza unui certificat de cazare eliberat de Cornell la Paris.
So that was the second visit, the second exit from Romania in a trip, in a travel. In 1997, he visited France. With that occasion, his cousin had to invite him, to officially invite him to visit France. And the next year he visited Germany. Here there is a collection of guides, of travel guides. He traveled by reading, and I would like to ask him now to which country he could physically go, because of course there are many limits. It's not just having the freedom to go there, but having the time, having the possibility during those school holidays. He passionately worked as a teacher for 40 years, so it was not easy to find the right moment, the right time to do it. What countries did you visit?
Aproape toate țările Europei, cu excepția țărilor nordice.
Almost all the European countries, with the exception of the Nordic countries, the Scandinavian ones. The last country that you visited was?
Austria.
Austria. Yes, so here there are many travel journals that he wrote. For example, while being in Paris, at the end of each day, he was making notes, he was writing his impressions from that day. How many days have you spent in Paris?
45 de zile cu rucsacul.
45 days with the backpack. He was staying at his cousin in a beautiful flat in Paris, and for 45 days he traveled to all the regions, all the important places, addresses that he read about them, and finally had the chance to see them. Many beautiful stories. We will be moving now towards the next and the last display. So we are standing beside the last corner. It is a beautiful corner. It's very impressive. I'm getting emotional. Every step of the professor's life has such a value. And the value is given by his passion, his tremendous amount of work, his talent, his dedication and discipline. And here it says it all, because there are some of the merits of the diplomas that he received, the honorable diplomas, and he's very modest. I'm sure he's not going to speak much about, but I'm going to ask him, what do we see here? It's shining of gold, because there is a golden medal and a diploma. It is titled Marks of Recognition, or Recognition Marks. On this display there are the printed diplomas. I told you there is so much more that it didn't fit here. And inside the glass, in the middle, for example, there is the diploma of the Citizen of Honor that was given in 2011. Citizen of Honor of Câmpul Mușcel City. Just a few get this merit, this position, and it's fully deserved, absolutely. I sometimes wonder why it didn't happen sooner, but yeah, it's my opinion. There, for example, is the Gheorghe Lază, the first class diploma. That's the highest honor given to someone that is teaching in the pre-university system, school system, so high school. In the left corner, there is a diploma given with the title of the son of Argeș. Argeș is the county, again given to very few. Here, this is a diploma. It's a very interesting one, very emotional one. Being the grandchild of the hero that lost his life in the First World War. I told you when we started exploring the exhibition, his grandfather was killed, was shot by a German soldier not far away from here. He was a father of three. He had a beautiful wife, beautiful children, house, a nice big land, gorgeous land. So he didn't want to fight. He had to fight for a country to protect it, and yeah, he was shot in the back. So this diploma was given to the professor of being a grandchild of the hero. Here in this corner there is one of the Romanian personalities in Romania. As I said, there is much more, and I would like to show you something in the corners there. Here in this corner, it's on a lower position. This is the first typing, yeah? So this is the first typewriting machine that Professor Săvoiu was writing those manuscripts. There are so many. He took part in a radio series hosted by the national radio station, and he wrote and spoke about different subjects, conferences it's called, between 1984 and 2001. In 1984 there was still the communist regime. Everything was censored. He was not allowed to speak his mind, his opinion, everything was filtered, but still he wanted to speak his truth. He wrote a lot. Many people appreciated his openness, his honesty. After 1989, everything got much easier, and he continued his work. Here you can see how it looked, how each word was written. It's not about writing; it's also about thinking, about composing them, about wanting to send the right message. And in 2008, the professor published a book with all those episodes, all those conferences. He put everything in one book and we can read. It's also interesting because it's based on historic facts, historic happenings, historic characters. Here in this corner, also positioned a little bit lower, you'll be seeing a music player and recorder. The professor bought it in 1974, so maybe it's older than that. He has been keeping so many objects, so many pieces. I would like to ask him what he feels about it, and I know that as a student he has been using it to play music. I will be asking him his favorite music back then. So, as a student, he played rock music, the 60s, 70s rock. They were studying so much. It was a very tough university. It was almost impossible to succeed, to enter. Câți candidați erau pe loc la intrare?
12 când m-am dat în 1973.
When the professor applied to enter this university, there were 12 candidates on one position. Imagine 12 candidates. And it was very important to also succeed finishing the years. So not just entering, but also keeping a high level. And there were some moments when they could relax, when they could meet to talk about different subjects, about the present times, about the present world. And it was nice that they could listen to rock. I didn't know that that was possible during the communist regime. Era posibil să asculte rock în timpul comunismului?
În mediul privat, sigur că da.
In a private environment, so it was not that easy. I'm very curious to see what is displayed upstairs. This is the City Museum. It is my second visit here. The first one was on Saturday. It is a gorgeous space, a former palace, and I will be going upstairs to discover some halls, some salons, some spaces together with Professor Săvoiu. He knows everything very well. And before we will be going upstairs, I would like to invite him to tell you a few words from his heart, as always.
Eu îmi exprim speranța că aceste vitrine, fiecare vitrină, va avea o extensie și va deveni o expoziție. Așa, îți mulțumesc că ai venit aici și că ai făcut o așa de frumoasă prezentare.
For those that you didn't understand Romanian, Professor Adrian Svoiu mentioned that each display represents a sample of what he would like to show more in the future. His work is ongoing. He's very passionate. He's giving so much of his time, energy, absolute passion to culture, to writings, to all the books and articles that you see. Everything he's doing for the community here without any other thoughts but simply to keep the history, to keep the value alive, to put a spotlight. So that's his only interest, his only target, and I'm in awe by his energy and charitable work, I have to say, charitable work. We will continue upstairs, we'll be taking you with us. So let's go. It's exactly 6 p.m. I'm having a drink, this time a beer at Co-Art. This is my most favorite place to have a drink in Câmpulung. I usually have a coffee. They have the best coffee coming from Ethiopia. But yeah, now it's too late. I wish to thank you for being here with me today in Câmpulung. I'm so happy that I managed to organize this episode today on a Monday because it is closed. The museum is closed, but Professor Adrian Săvoiu made it possible. I feel honored that I took part in the exhibition opening on Saturday. The places, the seats were limited. There was a small group. Yes, the room was full, but a small group, relatively small, of friends, colleagues, family, press, and I had a seat there, and I'm happy that I could cover most of the exhibition, that I've made a tour, that I presented it to you. Professor Adrian Săvoiu is not speaking English very well, but he asked me to tell you that he's thanking you for being interested in his work, for having watched this episode and all the other occasions that I mentioned him. He's been doing so much for this city. There is a lot of charitable work. Everything is pro bono. Everything is from the bottom of his heart, out of his passion. I always say he's absolutely generous and humble, and he's offering a spotlight and value to Argeș, to Mușcel, to Câmpulung Mușcel. I will be staying here for an hour. I've just ordered some pasta with tomato sauce and parmigiano. That will be a light dinner for me because I have to pack and to wake up early tomorrow morning. I will be going to Bucharest, then I will be flying to Vienna the next day, and from the airport in Vienna I will be taking the train directly to Switzerland. Long way. Vienna is in between the two countries, one to the east, one to the west. Long travel, but I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to go to Switzerland. I've been there last year for a short time. I'm planning to stay there 1 week or maybe longer. Let's see. The plan is to also visit my sister. I will be taking you with me. I will be showing you as much as I can and see. Thank you again for watching. Many, many greetings from Câmpulung. Kisses. Take good care of yourself, of your dear ones. See you very, very soon. Bye.